is this platform by Women on Boards to be able to help younger people, younger ladies, be ready, be aligned to get in there. Well, on to our topic today, uniquely you. When you go to sit on these boards, as I'm sure you have been told, you need to bring your authentic self. You need to bring your authentic self, because if you are not authentic, then there's going to be holes in everything that you do. So how do you do this? And hence this topic, uniquely you, is so apt for us ladies at this time. So uniquely you, a journey to self, is something that I take my audiences or my participants, my clients through in my life coaching. This is the foundation. We are always evolving. We are always evolving. So how is this? We evolve through different areas of our lives, and we need to be totally aware every time we're in that area. It will be so sad that you get passed by life when you do not have certain foundations that you alone are aware of. Everybody else is aware of them, but are you aware of it? So let's just jump right into it. How do you understand self? That will be like your first question. How do you understand self? What kind of questions do you need to ask you that are so important? Well, there are 4 pillars that I look at. And the first one is, who are you as you ask yourself? Who are you? How do you see you? Because who are you is one question, but how do you see yourself? How do you see yourself? The second one is, the third one is, how do people see you? How do people see you? And last but not least is, what characteristics define you? So those are 4 areas we're going to look at. And if you have a pen and paper, I'm such a teacher. Every moment for me is a teachable moment. So thank you so much, Karen. So I'd like for you to just write down those 4 areas that we're going to just be looking at shortly. And you want to be able to know that as we are looking at these aspects, you need to be looking internally. It's about you, not the person next to you, not the people that you're seeing on the screen. So let me enumerate them again. The first one is, who are you? The second one is, how do you see you? How do you see yourself? The third one is, how do people see you? And the fourth one is, what characteristics define you? So this is going to be the foundation that we're going to be chatting on today. And I do look forward to the questions. I don't know whether it's Karen or it's Kantai who's taking down questions. I'll be so happy. It's Karen? Great. I'll be so happy to answer them as best as I can at the end. So who are you? We tend to define ourselves by our circumstances, by our relationships, by our careers, by our achievements. I mean, just think of it today. If I was to move you to an interview setting and you've already sent me your CV and we are seated around this table and there's a whole panel, maybe 3 or 4, and you're across the table or across the room, or even on a screen like this one, and I say to you, tell me about yourself. Who are you? Chances are you will start to regurgitate what is on that CV. You will start to tell me that this is what kind of qualifications I've acquired. These are many years of experience, or I do not have any experience. I want to come and learn, or this is the education I went to school. Those are the kind of things you're going to talk about. Yeah. If we go into an area of, let's give an example. For the older generation, if we went into an area of, let's say, church, spirituality, and you ask somebody, who are you? They start to tell you their marital status, you know, single, divorced, widow, married, one of those things that you start to define yourself. So you define yourself by your relationships, your careers, your achievements. So like now, if I am coming here and someone says, who is Lucy? You heard what Karen did. She went and enumerated who Lucy is. So I am being defined by my achievements, my careers, my career, my relationship. This is how it is done usually. This is the default. We go back in there and we define ourselves by these things. And today I am challenging you that yes, this is one way to define yourself, but really, let's go back to that CV and that interview. And I'm asking you to tell me who you are. Therein lies an opportunity that is left on the table by at least 90% of us, if not more, to tell the panel who we really are. Because this is what is going to set us apart. This is what is going to make you uniquely you. This is your opportunity to talk about you. What kind of person are you? These are your soft skills that are coming in. Are you compassionate? Are you a team leader? So that means you have leadership qualities. Are you somebody who is critical in your thinking? Are you a logical person? These are the things that make you you, because many people have these achievements. If you go out of the room and you look at everybody else lined up there, they're there because they met some kind of qualifications to be called for this interview. So what is going to set you apart from these people? That is what is important. So I ask the question again, who are you? And for a minute there, take a moment to look at your paper and put down 2 or 3 things that come to mind. Don't overthink it. Just put them down. And these words I submit to you would be value-oriented words. I'm a loving person. I'm a caring person. I'm a frugal person. Just put down those words. You don't have to overthink it for now, but what comes to mind to you right now as to who you are? And then I want you to try this. The next time, in fact, today, not the next time, just within these 24 hours, when you meet someone, start by introducing yourself like that. It's going to be so scary, guys, but try it. You know, just take it for a test drive. And when you meet someone and you're like, hi, because, you know, the age group here on this call is quite young. So you're definitely going to meet somebody new today. So when you meet them, hi, I'm Lucy. I'm very compassionate. I mean, even inside yourself, you're going to be laughing at how you're describing yourself. But you know what? This is the beginning. Get used to it. Test drive yourself. How come when you're sending messages on your social media platforms, you express yourself with emojis? You don't express yourself with the hat of the degree or books of learning, or you don't express yourself that way. You express yourself with emojis. So let's put some words to these emojis, and it's going to be interesting the next 24 hours. You know, Karen, I wish we could be doing this tomorrow also, just to get some feedback as to how people felt taking that for a test drive. So that is who you are. That is where you start. And how do people see you? How do people see you is our second spot. That spotting of knowing who sees who. So we start with you. What you see in the mirror. Right now, I am looking at the screen and I can see myself speaking. And I am centered on who I am. And who I see is not what people see. If I was to take a poll right now from all of you and ask you, what do you see when you look at me? Oh, the answers are going to come in so varied. So varied. And what I thought I saw in the mirror this morning, perhaps I saw a very nervous me coming here. Perhaps I have, I'm faltering on my words. Perhaps I didn't have my content ready. So I am showing up not 100%, perhaps I'm showing up 50%. But then somebody on the other hand, like what Karen said when she first met me, she found that I was a confident person. This is now Karen describing me, but she hasn't asked me how I felt that day when I was in that topic, and it was a topic on fire. And she hasn't asked me how I felt about my fellow moderators or my fellow facilitators or my fellow panelists. You know, there could have been a lot of things that were going on under that very cool, calm exterior that Karen did not see. So through different sets of eyes, I am seen differently. So I say to you the same thing. It is external, how people see you. It is what society dictates. It is what your peers dictate. It is what your parents dictate. Yeah. So how do you see you. You see yourself from what society says. So what is your age today? If you are 18, society dictates that you should be finishing your high school, you should be going into university, you better have good grades. Because if you do not have good grades, you will not make it into a reputable university. I'm not even talking about college. Let's talk society. Society, and let's talk about our environment. Society wants us to go to certain universities. And the minute you get called to that university, you're advising everybody. In fact, your social media is on fire. The minute that you do not qualify to go to a specific university, you're very quiet about your results. Why? Are you not proud of your achievement? Did you not know that this is what you can bring to the table? At what point did you not be comfortable with who you are? At what point? Because society told you, it dictated that you needed to have a higher score to go into 1, 2, 3 kind of universities, or don't talk about it. So for those of you who have gone through university, and we're still talking society, yeah? Those of you who've gone through certain universities, you're done with that university, hey, you better have the love of your life lined up, because he's about to propose to you, you're about to get married. This is society again. It is dictating what should happen to this young woman who has finished university. You're now supposed to get married. Fast forward, you're married. It happened. Congratulations. Now you're supposed to have children. Again, it's society. Society dictates so much. Yes, we need order in society. And hence, perhaps that is why there's all this lineup of the things that are supposed to happen to us. But what happens at the age of 18? Perhaps I am not in high school, or I'm not in secondary school. I don't have the opportunity to be able to sit there and get qualifications to move on to a reputable university. Does that mean that I'm a less of a being? Does that mean that? And I say to you, it does not, because that is society. We see ourselves through different sets of eyes. The person that I saw this morning and the person that you are seeing right now are two different people. The person society is looking at right now, and I am speaking here, and my achievements in quotes. The question is, now that I'm the age that I am, what else have I achieved? I should be somewhere according to society. Let's talk about peers. Let's talk about peers. So how do your peers see you? And that is how we're going to be looking at the third one. How do people see you? But before they see you, you are driven by what your peers see in you. You're driven by it. It is a human nature. You belong to this group, this age set, like we call it. So for you, people see you, but you see yourself through their eyes. So number 3, how do these people see you? They see you again through your achievements and your failures. They see you through your achievements and through your failures. They see a 360 degrees of you, totally. Think about it. When you look in the mirror, this is all you're seeing. You cannot see this side. You can't see the back. You can't see this angle. You can't see this angle. You can't see the angle underneath. All you're seeing is what is in the mirror. So people see a 360 degree of you. And this can only be seen by the access that you give them. You know, in the digital world, you can only have access that has been granted to you. If you're working with certain software, wherever it is that you are in school, if you're on Moodle, at work, if you're on whatever platforms that you work on, maybe it is Teams, you're given certain access. Beyond that, you cannot say. So what access are you giving people? The access you're giving people is your output of behavior. How do you behave in different circumstances? Ask yourself that question. How do you behave in different circumstances? And that is how people see you. And that is how they're going to be describing you. That one is very calm and peaceful. That one is very hot-headed. What is it that people are saying about you? Oh, she doesn't think. She doesn't take criticism very well. She's not authentic. She's truthful. And if you ask her, she feels nothing. She takes no prisoners. She tells you as it is. She's authentic. How are you being described? How are people seeing you? Because of your behavior. So you want to go back and look at your behavior. Is this how you want people to see you? So a 360-degree angle of you is so important. Something for you to think about, something for you to chew on. And in a moment, we're going to look at how you're going to fill up that cup of 360 degrees. In a moment, we will get there. But before then, let's look at the four characteristics, the fourth one, which is the characteristics that define you. Like I said, it is the behavior manifestation. It's what you show people. This dictates the characteristics that define you. Again, I take you back to the interview poll. If we are sitting there and I ask you, how are you under stress? That's a question that's always asked. How are you under stress? What are you going to say? Are you going to give me the textbook answer? Oh yes, I work very well under stress, because you're dying to get the job. Or are you going to be honest? Are you going to apply some values that we have looked at in the first one where you're describing self? Are you going to apply that and speak the truth about how you handle stress? Maybe you've never been in a stressful situation, so that could be what you're going to say. I've never had the opportunity to be in a stressful situation. I'm just starting out now. What is it that you would say? Now put it down. Remember, you had put down some few words describing yourself. Now I want you to put down the answer on the characteristic that would come out if somebody said to you, how do you handle stress? How do you handle stress? Now, these four areas that we're looking at, who you are, how you see you, how people see you, and what characteristics define you, are the foundations. And I have found that as a board member, I had to revisit these areas and know who I am and what I am bringing to the table. Because as a board member, you need to bring something to the table. What makes me uniquely me? Is it my sunny disposition? Is it my calculative mind? Is it the fact that I am coachable? What is it? You better know what it is, because that is what sets you apart. But maybe you're still struggling, and maybe you're wondering, how will I know what sets me apart? And we're going to get to that shortly. I'm going to share with you 2 tools that you can use, and it is effective for you to start knowing who you are and be able to have a 360-degree behavior manifestation so that people are able to know who you are. Because I keep on saying in my life coaching sessions, if you don't tell people who you are, they will decide for you. They will decide for you. Things will be spoken. You will have woken up this morning with all your good intentions, and you will leave home and go and do what you're doing. There's a lot of opinions out there as to how you run your day. There's the one that you know that you did, but then there are many opinions out there. In everything that we do, it is a human nature that we will be judged, and we will judge too. So you will step out today and you will show up. How are you showing up? The behavior is going to determine how people see you showing up. If you were supposed to be on time and you were late today, and you were on time every day of your life, right up to yesterday evening, but the very fact that you were late today, that is how you're going to be defined, because again, it was your behavior that informed society the kind of person that you are. You are the one who is in control, ladies. If anything that you would walk away with today, just know that it is in your control to be uniquely you. Because in that control, you need to be able to feed it and fill that cup of yours. So like I said, we are always evolving, and we need to understand ourselves at different stages. So let's just look at some of the stages. As a child, when we are born into whatever setting, whether we are born into a setting of parents, who are the ones who are bringing us up, whether it is older siblings, whether it is a village, whether it is a home, whatever it is, we are born and we begin to live according to certain principles of the area that we are living in, that environment. So whatever it is, wherever space you're in, there are principles that guide that group of people. And therefore, these principles then tend to form in our mind, and we get conditioned about how life is. Because if you move from one household to another, the principles could be different. They could be very different. So what are the principles that you were raised on? What are they? What is it that you can fall back on and say, this is who I am based on my upbringing? Do you know? And if you don't know, take a moment and just meditate. And I like that to happen first thing in the morning, and think about it. You will realize there are certain things that are just you. Certain things that if somebody was to mention, you can relate to, because this is you. And many things would be with the way that you speak, the way you act around older people, the way you are in school. These are conditions that were part of your life as you grew up. So you were guided, you were cushioned, you were shown how things were done. This is when the good and the bad was defined for you. And how? You were told, congratulations, that is very good what you did. I'm so proud of you. Or maybe it was just a look that you were given and you knew you had done well. Or you were told, that is not the way we behave in this home, or that is not the way we behave in this school. You were reprimanded. And when you are reprimanded, you now know over time that this is not the right way to do things. So what happens in this case? You start to sweep the dark side, or you start to sweep that negativity to one side, and you're left with the good. You're left with the good, and that is what you start to perform on, because you realize that then you are rewarded, you are understood, it was shared with you, you were given a pat on your back. You're doing well. You're doing well. You go through life looking for these opportunities where people are appreciating who you are. So while we're on that subject of childhood, ask yourself, what are the things that I learned when I was a child? Those things that today I am still applying or falling back onto. What are they? So that is you as a child, you're formed. Then you get into adolescence. And adolescence and hormones begin to happen. This is when you have your first identity crisis moment. Why do I say identity crisis? Because as I've just said, as a child, you have been conditioned, you have been cushioned, you've been guided, you have been advised the good and the bad in life. If not being told, you have seen from the reactions of the people around you. So now you're an adolescent and you begin to question yourself. But the best part about being an adolescent is that you explore. This is identity crisis. And I know it comes across as perhaps a negative time in life, but no. This is the time when you're beginning to understand who you are. And if you ever needed your parents more, this would be the time, or your guardians, because they have already put in this foundation in you. They're now allowing you to question, and therefore they should be coming back now with qualifications on answers and asking you, what do you think? So if you come from an environment where the adults around you are asking you this question, then you are part of the lucky few. There are others who never get asked these questions. Parents decide for them what is going to happen. And the danger of this, again, we go fast forward into adulthood, is that you keep on waiting for validation, approval. You will find it difficult to make decisions on your own. Your decisions will be based on society, as opposed from you looking within and getting answers from within. So adolescence, yes, adolescence is a contentious subject, but this is where you explore yourself. And I submit to you that you develop yourself and you develop a sense of self. It's not yet a higher sense, because we get to that when we are adults. At this point, as we question, we ask, who are we? Who said I'm that kind of a person? But my friends see me in this way, and I want to be this way. And so we rebel. And as we rebel, the reaction that we get from our guardians, from our parents, from our older generation, is going to help us to define who we are. And like they say, this is the time to go crazy because you get your first identity crisis. And when you get this identity crisis, the answers that you get at the end of it begin to give you a foundation to build from. And in Kenyanese, we say, me, I am, ... Me, I am. You now begin to understand who you are, or you get an idea that you can be somebody. You're not that person who's under the umbrella of your parents. Then you get your ID at the age of 18, and you really can see that the world is an oyster. It's a good thing, but it's also a dangerous thing. If you're coming from a foundation of not knowing self or being aware of self, then it is a dangerous thing. But if you are confident in knowing that this path ahead of you is an evolving path, you then embrace your identity and you start to learn to grow because you're coming from a strong foundation. Then we go into adulthood, and here I can assure you, ladies, identity crisis happens so often. So often. Every time that something comes to you that you're going to transcend from the person that you are, you start asking yourself, am I really this person? Can I really do this? Do I deserve this? Can people really see this of me? Remember, now we come back to the 4 areas. Who are you? How do people see you? How do you see yourself? And what characteristics define you? Those are the 3 stages I wanted us to go through, which is now your childhood stage, your adolescent stage, and now your adulthood stage. So if you are getting a personality crisis, an identity crisis, it is normal. It is very normal. In fact, if you are not getting an identity crisis, then that is what is abnormal. Because at this point, the identity crisis is seen in a positive light. As human beings, we've made it a negative light. So every time you have to ask yourself who you are reminding yourself that you are developed, you have evolved. The person that I was as a young teenager, as a young lady, as a mother, as somebody who was growing in the career is a totally different person as to who I am today. However, there are certain foundations that remain true to me, but I have evolved. Today, I am so confident in myself that if I was to make a mistake on this screen right here and now, for me, it is a point to learn, because failure for me is an option. Failure for me was not an option as a teenager. I needed to have everything correct because my peers were watching me. Today, I can make a mistake here right now. Perhaps I could find that I am on the wrong notes, or I could find that my internet crashes and I had not put in some money. Hey, it's a learning experience. It's never that serious. In fact, if somebody asked me, what would you say to your younger version, Lucy? I'd be very quick with things to tell the younger Lucy. Yeah. So think about that, ladies, and know that you evolve. But these 4 foundations are the things that are going to help you stay on track. And as a board member, the spotlight is on you. As you offer oversight, the spotlight is on you. The buck stops with you as a board member, because the institution or the corporation that you were there for, they chose you for that post. They saw that your skill set, your personality is the one that they needed to give and offer oversight. So what is it for you? If you don't know who you are, if you do not know how to be seen, and if you don't know the characteristics, it then becomes a challenge. So this topic today is very apt. But then I promise to share with you 2 tools that will help you be able to start identifying these 4 areas very clearly towards a uniquely value-oriented identity. It's got to be value oriented. So we will look at the first one, which is your determinants, which is internal and external, and you can write that down. That's the first one. The second one, we are going to look at your shadow self, your dark side. It sounds sinister, doesn't it? But your dark side is something we're going to look at today. And I don't want you to be alarmed. I want you to just open up your heart, your ears to what it is I'm going to say. Because a lot of things in there that you need to consider as an individual. And remember that you are your biggest judge. You are the one who is going to be in control of this, not anybody else. What you do with this information is up to you. It's not up to your peers or society, it's up to you. So let's start. The first one is your internal and external determinants. And what are these? If you're moving from the internal to the external, it means you are knowing yourself, or you want to know yourself. You want to explore and develop yourself. And then you want to be able to project this into society so that society knows who you are according to your narrative. I'll say that again. So that society knows who you are according to your narrative. So you are telling the world who you are. You're in control. And yes, it's not going to be a perfect journey, but it's going to be a learning journey, like I have just said. If I was to make any mistake here, then for me, failure is an option and I'm learning. What have I learned from it? Tomorrow when I show up here, I will be a better person than I was today. And if anything, you are growing. So if you're coming in from the internal and you're projecting it to the external, remember when I asked you, how do you see you? You see yourself from different sets of eyes. Yes, I can see myself on the screen now, but most of the time, I would see myself, this is what I said that we are mostly doing, 90% of the time, I see myself according to other people's eyes, other sets of eyes, society, peers, parents. So I say to you, we want to shift that narrative, ladies. We want to be able to inform society who we are. And if we don't know who we are, we look for the opportunities to learn who we are. So how do we learn who we are? You get a life coach like me to help you. You get your mentors to help you. You're able to speak to groups of people who you aspire to subscribe to, so that you can understand what will you bring to the table. I go back to the boards again. What are you bringing to the table? It's got to be you. Because when that boat begins to rock, where are you going to settle? You cannot settle on what society says. You withdraw and go back to your house. And in your darkest hour, you then settle to the true person that you are. Now, that's the person you're supposed to bring to the table. It's very scary. But today is a good day to start. So we start from a place of authenticity, coming to terms with who we are. And if we do not know who we are, there are a lot of tests online that we can do if we're unable to afford the services of a life coach, personality tests, behavioral tests, psychometric tests. Then we can begin to understand who we are. Because these tests work in a certain algorithm way, which ask you questions over and over again. And finally, at the end, they give you a score. And the score is actually 99% correct. You begin to recognize certain characteristic traits about you. So that is what you start with. And then you project it to society, and you will get pushback. You will get pushback because society is not comfortable with you dictating to society who you are. But stay the course, and you will begin to grow in your confidence, and let it be confidence that is coming from an authentic place, not because you want to get attention. Those are two different things. Not because you want to get attention, because you are being true to yourself, and that at night you will sleep well, that knowing today was a good day because I lived according to my values, whatever words it is that you are choosing as your values. Remember the few words I asked you to write in the beginning. You want to revisit them and be able to see whether you resonate with those words. So that is you coming from internally, going to externally. However, if you went the other way around and you came from external into internal, what you're doing is exactly the story and the analogy that I gave you sometime in the beginning. That you are an 18-year-old girl, and being an 18-year-old girl, you're expected to go to a certain university. And once you get your qualifications, you're expected to have the love of your life lined up, married in a few years, children, your career is booming. That is what we are saying. From the external to the internal, chances are you will not feel fulfilled. Those are the chances. Because at this point, you're living according to society. You're living according to what your parents want of you. Remember, parents are human beings like you, and they walked that path with you. And most often than not, I'm a parent and I'm a grandparent, and I want from my children success. And I push to them this success based on my successes and my failures. The things that I never achieved, I want my children to achieve. But you see, that is my opinion. How I qualify it further is I ask my children, what do you want to do? And then I guide them from that place. So parents need to be able to have this. You need to be able to challenge your parents and your guardians and tell them what it is that you want and how they feel about what you want. It needs to be in a setting that is respectful, has got dialogue. If it's not coming from your parents, perhaps they don't know. Perhaps they don't know. So let it come from you. Today you've learned something. So find a way to have that conversation with your guardians, your parents, so that you can have that pushback into society norms, so that you're coming back from working from internal to go external. We are looking for fulfillment here. Or would you like for your parents to say to you, I want you today to go and do computer science, because that is the qualification of the day that is going to give you money because everybody's going digital. So I want you to do that. And in your heart, that's not what you want to do. You want to do something totally different. This is your opportunity to have a discussion. So go and do your homework, do your due diligence, come back and have a conversation with your parents or your guardians, because more often than not, they're the ones who are paying for this education. But have their buy-in already. These are tests and examples for you to bring to the board. These are the skills of negotiation that you need to bring to the board. These are skills of you understanding what it is that you want and who you are and how you're going to apply to help boards that is coming to the table here right now. So this is one way that you can do it. One tool that I really love is you starting from internal, going external. You being confident of who you are. You don't know everything, but you're going to learn. You are coachable. You know where to get help from. And when you get that help, you are applying. Don't just get the help. And like you can see, the books at the back of my shelf, perhaps they've just collected dust there and they're just there for aesthetics. No, open up those books, open up that knowledge, apply it. There's a reason why you sought it. So 99% of us are driven by society. 90 to 99% of us are driven by society. I want you to challenge that narrative, challenge it, and be able to come back from a place of coming from within. Now, the second part as we come to the end is your shadow self. And I know I said this sounds very sinister. So this shadow self that you have, you want to question, why do I have this dark side? And why have I pushed it under the carpet? Remember when we talked about childhood and I said there are two things, the good and the bad. You were made aware of it. As a child, you didn't know there was a good or bad when you were born. It is until the people in your environment said, well done, or never do that again. Those are bad manners. That's when you knew it was bad. So what did you do? Because you needed to fit in, because you needed to see the smiles of the people around you, because you needed validation and approval, you pushed your darker side under the carpet, made believe that it does not exist. Ladies, I submit to you, it exists. It exists. And that question that came up in the interview, how do you deal under stressful situations? This is when your dark side comes out. Because once I push you and I push you to the wall, you're pushing back. So how are you pushing back? The way you push back will be informed on your knowledge of self in your dark areas, in your shadow, because your shadow is always with you. Even now, if you stand up, there's a shadow following you. Your shadow will never leave you. So why don't we understand our shadow? So how do we understand our shadow? There are 4 steps that you can do that. Identify this shadow or this dark side. How do you do that? Look around. This is one way to do it. There are many ways to do it, but for the sake of time, we'll go into one way to do it. The one way to do it is look around and see the one thing that annoys you so much. It irks you. Every time you see this behavior, this characteristic, you go nuts. And you just wonder how somebody can be like that. So pick out that behavior. Look at it, literally look at it 360 degrees. Look at that behavior. And once you have that behavior and you've identified, you've given it a name, whatever negative behavior it is that drives you crazy in somebody else, now turn the mirror onto yourself and ask yourself, what in me has that behavior, or is that behavior, or resonates with that behavior? Because something will only affect you if it is within you. If it has got nothing to do with you, it won't affect you. And I say that again, it will only affect you because it resides in you. So you must have an element of that darkness in you. And perhaps you are envious that this other individual is able to project it and deal with it, whereas you are being a good child, a good girl, and you are not showing that dark side, or you're not dealing with it. It could be that. Have you ever wondered at times you're doing something so good and somebody comes and is so, what do you call them? Haters. The haters come. And people are hating on you for something that you've done. And you, you get a punch in your tummy and you're wondering, what did I do wrong? Why am I being hated so much? Well, that hater is actually looking at you from that point of the aspect that they put under the table. And perhaps it was laziness that you are achieving. You were able to overcome your laziness and achieve. That is how they're seeing it. Remember the 360 degrees, how people see you in 360 degrees? So step number 1, identify the shadow behavior. Come back, turn the mirror and identify it from within. Because you've given it a name. Now you need to find out, in which areas do I have this shadow? Where is it? Can I see it? Can I call it? Then now you question it. Shadow, what do you want of me? What have I done about you in the past? So I like to use the example of laziness, because that was my shadow. That continues to be my shadow. And as a result, I am a perfectionist because of that shadow of laziness. Because I believe, because my parents are not here for me to ask them, I believe that at one point they must have thought that I was lazy and I was reprimanded for it. And therefore I pushed it under the carpet. And today I'm a perfectionist. Today I have so much energy to ensure that I am moving 24/7, lest I fall into that behavior of laziness. But ladies, the shadow is still with me. So when I see somebody who is lazy, it drives me crazy. And why does it drive me crazy? Because it is my shadow. So how do I speak to this shadow? I ask it, shadow, what do you want of me? I've already given you everything. What do you want of me? And shadow tells me, do not be so critical on yourself. Be kind to yourself, Lucy. You have done well. You have done well. Yes, the shadow is here and it cannot go away. It's the way you deal with it. So back to it. If I push you against the wall in a stressful moment, how are you going to come out? So today, how do I come out when I get pushed to the wall? I come out with my sense of achievement. Who am I? I now know who I am. I know that you are just hating on me. I know that this is just a situation. This is not the real thing. My vision is bigger than this specific moment here and now. because Lucy knows who she is. And I am still learning, ladies. I do not know myself 100% because I am evolving. I am evolving. So this is your dark side. Now, once you know and you have spoken and questioned, embrace it. Embrace it. And how do I know I have embraced it? How do you know? You will speak of it like this. There's 23 of us on this, and this is a recorded session. Therefore, many people are going to hear how Lucy's dark side is her laziness. I have embraced it. This is who I am. Because although Karen sees me here as a very confident person, my dark side is laziness. So I embrace it and I'm able to speak to it. So when I'm sitting on that board, I am cognizant of the fact that I have a dark side. So what do? I'm able to come to the table and share what it is that I can do. And laziness will never be part of it. In fact, it will be the positive things that come out of laziness. If you feel biased towards moving this way, these are the things that you can do. And therefore, I can help the staff in whatever institution that I go to. I can help fellow board members because I have walked this path. I have walked this path. So those are the two areas, the two tools that you can use. One of them is your internal external determinant. You want to build internal going out. You want to shift from external to internal. You want to shift that to internal to external. That way, you know who you are. People now will be seeing you as the person that you are projecting to be because you have informed them from your behavior. In your characteristics, they are value-based. The words that you put down in the beginning. So we want to have a unique value-oriented identity. And this is what you are going to do. These two areas are where you start. You have a self-awareness of knowing what you want and knowing how to go for it. You know why you want it because it resonates with you. So in the beginning, Karen said to me, as I come to the end, that she hopes, or rather she said to all of us, that she hopes that I will be able to give an insight to uniquely defining self. I have given you two tools there where you can uniquely define yourself. And if all else fails, just look at the analogy of a CV, your interview, and that process. When you are asked, who are you? What are you going to say? Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you so much, Kantai, and everybody else on this call for giving me time to be able to share with you my knowledge. And I'm happy to take questions now and answer to the best of my ability.
Thank you very much.
Over to you, Karen.
Thank you. Before we do anything, I think it would be very important to acknowledge this moment. For that particular reason, I'd like all of us to put our clapping emojis, and if possible, kindly, please show your videos because we want to see your very beautiful faces as we appreciate Miss Lucy Macridis for the amazing session she's taken us through. So if you can, please, kindly show your videos. Thank you, Michelle. Choma, thank you, Choma. Thank you, Mrs. Wahinya. I'm still waiting. I won't stop until at least I have 3/4 of the room. Thank you, Priscilla. 3 more people. 3 more people. Thank you, Hannah.
Oh, wow.
Kantai. Thank you, June. Oh my God. Thank you, June. 2 more people and we're good. Okay. So I want us to do the typical Kenyan fashion situation. We call it the 3-factor. So we're going to clap for her. So you're going to unmute your mics and you're going to do the 3-factor clap. So it goes like this: 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, and then 1. Is everyone okay with me? Thumbs up. Perfect. So kindly unmute your mics. Choma, Nanaya, Priscilla, even if you're in a moving car, it's fine. June, and let's do this. So Mrs. Macridis, thank you so much for joining us today. And even before we go to the Q&A, we'd like to give you a very simple show of appreciation. So let's do the 3 factorial. So let's go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1. Thank you very much. I can see people want to leave, it's fine, no problem. So before we actually go to the Q&A, I'd like us to play a very simple game with Lucy. And I think we've done this before with her. So courtesy of the session you've taken us, I'd like you to take less than 30 seconds. And I'm going to pick 2 other people to do this. Less than 30 seconds to describe yourself.
I like that. You got me on that one.
Let's go.
Oh, okay. I'm ready to go now.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Lucy Macridis. I am a compassionate, loving, and persistent individual. I just love to share my information with people, and I am very teachable. I am somebody full of integrity, and I have determination, which makes me a very disciplined person.
Wow. Wow. Okay. 28 seconds. We're good. Wow. Chioma.
How many seconds did I have?
28.
No, but how many did you ask me to?
30, which you're right on point. Chioma, 30 seconds. Describe yourself.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Chioma. I am 14 years old. I would say my dark side is also laziness. And yes, that's all I have to say about it.
Thank you, Chioma. You've just done exactly what you've been told, embracing it, embracing your shadow side. At least you're listening. Okay. So who do I feel like disturbing? Priscilla, you're smiling so hard, I can't resist. Would you like to try?
Yeah. I am Priscilla Adhiambo. I am a student, hardworking, passionate about charity, integrity, and doing community service projects. I am a community service director in Rotaract.
Oh, wow. Oh, I can see my people are on this other end. Glad to see that. And the last person, allow me to choose Mrs. Wahinya. 30 seconds, describe yourself.
Yes, good morning. My name is Pauline Wahinya. I'm a technocrat. I love working with governments, with policies and budget. That is my passion. I like mentoring and coaching. I coach young women, I coach young girls. I inspire many women to get into national leadership. And that is my passion. What am I? What do I do? I like being authentic in whatever I do. I do things professionally. I'm a passionate person. I'm confident with whatever I do. And I love what I do. Yes, I think, Karen, have I finished my minute? Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have, but at least now we have a lot of information on you, and that was the whole point behind this. So before I move on to the question, I will make a try, and then I will see. Normally in Kenyan context, we say nitakuona kwenye nyuma ya tent. So I will see Lucy nyuma ya tent just to confirm that I am right on point. So Karen Rono is my name. I am a leader. I am bold, audacious. I go for what I want. And beyond that, I love serving. So you will find me in social work and you'll find me in community service. Simply, and I'm passionate about women empowerment, most importantly. So with that, allow us to move to the Q&A sessions. So what I'll do is I'll take a batch of 3 questions, address it to you, Lucy. You answer the 3 questions and then we move to the next batch. So the first question was, what is the difference between stress, anxiety, and depression? The second question is, can self-image among different individuals be similar, or is it necessarily of an individualistic nature? What conditions influence it? Do I repeat the question?
I'll take them one at a time. So if I could just take the first question.
That's fine.
And then we can read out the second one, yeah?
Yes.
So the first one was about, if I understood right, Karen, the difference between stress, anxiety, and depression.
Yes.
That was the question.
Yes.
Well, these are definitely different situations. depending on where you're coming from. So stress will be defined by you feeling that you cannot handle a situation. You just can't handle it. So you feel stressed. If you were able to handle it, you'll be cool, calm, and collected. Anxiety, on the other hand, is you breathing in, breathing out. For instance, that perhaps when I was coming on this session, I was prepared, but then I was anxious whether everything else is going to fall into place. Depression is totally different. Whereas stress and anxiety could be related, depression is very different. And in fact, with depression, it's directly connected to self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you have certain behaviors that begin to happen, and if you're not aware of them, you spiral into depression. So maybe things like you start having certain habits that are not you, certain sleeping patterns that are not you, certain outbursts that are not you, or a withdrawal from society. This is not you. If you had a sense of awareness, you would have begun to pick this from the beginning and worked on it, either asking for help or just going into that internal to external determinant to help you. So stress and anxiety could be related, but depression definitely not. And depression, that one is clinical even. You're definitely going to need a counselor on that. I hope I've been able to answer that first one. The second one is on self-image. Whether it is different, I wasn't sure whether I understood that question.
So the question is, can self-image among different individuals be similar, or is it necessarily of an individualistic nature? She further asks, what conditions influence it?
Okay, like from the session that we have gone through, I would explain it like a fingerprint. If you were to do your fingerprint, this is your uniqueness. Nobody else has your fingerprint. Mm-hmm. So your self-awareness also comes from here. So your self-image is very unique to you, and hence that's why we're talking about uniquely you. If you look at the different tests that I had spoken of, when you go through them, you and I, Karen, may have the same results. Mm-hmm. However, when we look at the determinants in that result, we will find the makeup is different. So for instance, it could come out and say that I am a compassionate person, but pick you as an empathy, you're empathetic. You see, this is about tenderness in human beings. So it picked up the umbrella value, which was tenderness. But in tenderness, we then break it down. Perhaps in integrity, being the umbrella one, it could be about honesty and it could be about transparency. So maybe I am honest and you're transparent. That is how the algorithm describes us. We become unique in that way. So the mixture of the explanation of these algorithms, which give us our self-image, just helps us to know that I am different from you. And the beautiful part is once you're aware of that self-awareness, there's a higher sense. We will never be at 100%, but as long as we keep on trying to aspire to be there, it's a learning curve. I hope I've answered that question.
Yes, you have. Before we move on to the next question, I'll request any person who'd like to ask a question to raise their hand so that I can pick on you right after this. How can someone avoid the imposter syndrome in the process of knowing their weaknesses?
That is mine. In fact, that is a perfect question for me. Imposter syndrome can be avoided. However, in the way that it is being avoided, and I'm using myself as an example, is you can quieten the voice. Mm-hmm. For me, there was a lot of issues of imposter syndrome. And even to this day, I carry it with me, literally carrying that baggage with you. The question is, why is there imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome will rear its ugly head when you have been faced with a new situation that you need to show up for. And then you are in doubt as to whether you can show up according to what society wants you to show up as. But if you're coming from the aspect of internal to external, then you know what you're going to work on. Remember, I said 90 to 99% are people who come from external, coming from the society expectations, and then trying to mirror it into internal. So for imposter syndrome, I had suffered this for a long time. I have quietened this voice and I have owned my new narrative. Imposter syndrome, when I walk into a situation and there is proof that I do not know what I'm talking about, I'm able to mitigate it by being prepared. Because I am my worst critic, if you heard me say that. So I walk on, in fact, after this session, I am going to beat myself up. That one I know. I'm going to say there was an opportunity to say this, to do this, to guide people this way, because this is my nature. The imposter syndrome steps in. But then I'm going to ask myself, how do I mitigate? I'll ask myself, Lucy, were you prepared? Yes. Can we see your notes? Yeah. So were you able to cover the 4 areas you wanted to cover? Right. So where was the imposter syndrome? So I hope I've answered that question. Get prepared. Put yourself from that aspect of moving from internal to external. Society will always have something to say. They will always have an opinion. But what do you tell yourself?
Thank you for that. June asks, how do I make sure that my shadows do not overcome my good qualities? Can I have a healthy balance between the good and the bad? Should I acknowledge my shadows before people so they understand me better, or should I keep them to myself? Back to embracing. Basically, the concept of embracing, yes.
Very good. And in the way that I explained it, what I would add in is that we are a sum of our light and our dark side. We are a sum of our light and our dark side. And most of the time, we just manifest through behavior our light side. Now, our dark side does not mean you have to go around rearing the ugly head. It's a sense of awareness of your dark side and what you're doing with it. On my dark side, one of them, like I said, is laziness. I am using it to empower women to have this transformation. LMC is about helping to build one another. The book that I am writing is on wealth footprints, and my contribution is about the awakening of self. Just being aware of who you are, and that means you have to know your dark side. And how do you know your dark side? You've got to meditate and go in there and embrace it. The 4 steps that I took you through are very important. How then are you going to be able to acknowledge it? That's the only way you can acknowledge it and then work with it. Should you go out and tell people about it? Hey, that's what I'm doing now. But I'm doing it from a point of growth. I'm not doing it from a point of pulling you down. So if Karen, I see that you are a lazy individual, and that is my opinion, it doesn't mean that you are. If I see that you're a lazy, let me give you a perfect example. For the parents on this call, typically our children have got a totally different time clock than ours. Yet we forget that we ascribed the same time clock when we were adolescents, where we tend to sleep longer, sleep in the morning. It's a challenge to get us, even 1 p.m. we can find somebody fast asleep, seriously fast asleep. We forget that that is where we came from. But because we have evolved, we now give it a name, we label it, you are lazy. We forget that we were there once. So how can I use my dark self of laziness to help my children, and in my case, my grandchild? How do I do that? It is from a positive aspect. It is not about telling, it's about dialoguing. It's about saying, these are the benefits of you doing X, Y, Z. How best can we do this together? And how may I help? You will find that that child has got no clue that they were exhibiting such behaviors. If anything, they felt that you as a parent, you're just nagging and nagging and nagging. But once we have dialogue, we are able to understand what is the crux of the matter, where is mom coming from, and where am I coming from? I hope I've been able to answer that adequately.
Yes, yes, you have. There is a very interesting question I've received in my direct message. So she says, in my journey of becoming, I have been reading a lot of books. I recently read Grit and Range. Grit talks about people who pick one direction in life and stick with it to the end. Range talks about versatility and being able to wear many hats. What's your take?
Oh, wow, I haven't read the book. I haven't read the book. However, I will give you from my aspect as a life coach and the trainings that I do or the sessions that I do, I ask my clients to identify their areas of focus. And if you look up a tool on Google called the Wheel of Life, this is where I base my foundation when I'm working on my life coaching with my clients. Now, the Wheel of Life ascribes to 8 important areas in your life. So that is the first part that I take you through when you're identifying your areas of focus. What are they for you? And why do I do this? This is also to demystify that you are only supposed to have one purpose in life. You can have 8 purposes in life according to that Wheel of Life. It may be one umbrella that you're calling it one thing, the way I said integrity, then there's honesty, and there's being transparent. You know, maybe it is one umbrella. For instance, in my case, I say I want to help build one another. I can do it in my 8 areas of focus, which is my family, which is my spirituality, which is my physical fitness, whatever it is, there are 8 of them. My financial aspects, my money handling. So how am I going to help build one another? How do I translate that to all the 8? But that's not how it started. It started by me focusing on my 8 areas. And when I focused on them and I was able to come up with a purpose statement for each one of them, I found they were interrelated, Karen. I actually found they were interrelated. So if it comes to grit, and grit is then suggesting in this book that it is following one path and sticking to it, then I submit that it could be that one path, which is the umbrella, like I have said, helping to build one another. So then how does it translate to the other areas of importance in your life? Yeah. Then we move on to range, the versatility. Oh, especially as women, we are so versatile. This is something that we are born with. It's just that the way we are natural. So these are things that would not be taken away from us. It is a God-given gift that we have in our makeup. So in the versatility, we can actually take it on board, and we can decide that I can break down my 8 areas and make them individual purpose statements, and I am driven in this way. So as I show up today, I am showing up in my career on this particular webinar. Tomorrow, you may see me showing up in my family, and I show up there as a mother. You may see me in the gym. I don't do the gym, so let's talk about my exercise, my walking. I walk every day, and maybe there are people out there on the street who walk the same time with me. How do I show up in my purpose there? Or tomorrow you see me showing up in my spirituality, my higher being. How do I believe? How do I subscribe to it? So when it comes to grit, this is my opinion. It could be that one thing that covers all the 8 purposes, or versatility could be all the individual purposes that you are choosing to go for. It is a very good question, Karen. I love that question. And the book is called Grit and Range. Eh?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to look it up and just read a summary on it, because I just love to learn new things.
Same here. I am challenged, and I'm loving the interaction we're having with everyone. I have a personal question though. So within this particular session, you've constantly reiterated about if you don't tell people who you are, people will decide for you. So essentially that's saying control the narrative of the person that you are. So the question would be, what's the danger? Because what we constantly see, even within political circles, is there's the narrative and there's the truth. Do you think someone seeks to suffer a situation whereby you get so consumed with the narrative you tell people, essentially it not being the person that you are?
Yeah, already I can see in the values, then integrity would not be one of the values that you ascribe to. It all comes down to the values that you do. And I do a core values masterclass where we go in and we identify the values. We identify integrity sounds good, eh? So let's go with integrity. But then what does it mean for you? Are you able to apply integrity in everything that you do? And I love the political analogy that you've given. I could be setting out today to go into politics. And I am, like I have introduced myself, one of my values are integrity. And I go in there. Now, the person that I am when I go in and what I bring to the table is that person of integrity. However, what I meet there is the stressful situation we're talking about. I'm being pushed to the wall. Will I stay true to my integrity? That's the question that we should ask ourselves. However, on this journey, when I am there as a political,
Lucy, have we lost you?
ooh,
Okay.
I can.
Yeah, you're back.
Can you see me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm not a politician. However, again, the 360 degrees that we are talking about, when we look at the aspects of integrity coming to the table, once you go into this space, what happens? You meet the stressful levels. Are you true to that individual? The thing is, I see it from my opinion that then they get so challenged that that person that they are, they shove the person under the carpet and they begin to conform a particular group of politics. So they're not now coming again from internal to external, they're coming from external to internal. It is being driven by society, in this case being politics. The right thing to do is once your values get challenged there, you have a choice to make. And resign. And you say on a matter of principle, this is where I'm coming from, and you walk away. However, many will tell you that if I walk away, then I'm still not being true to my values because I want to be able to change the narrative for others. You are not in control of others. You are in control of your own narrative. You can go in there and continue what you know how to do best and take the beating. Otherwise, you have to conform. So the decision is yours. When we're talking about controlling that narrative, I go back to what I said in the beginning. It's in your hands. What you do with information is in your hands. Even on a board, when you come on the board, you are allowed to dissent. When things are shared say, yeah, you stay true to who you are. In fact, you know what is going to happen when the review comes up? You're going to score the lowest because you're going against the tide. This is one way it can go. Or you could score the highest because people wish that they had. I hope it helps, Karen.
Thank you very much. This has indeed been such a potent session. I personally love drinking from your fountain. So I am joining and enrolling for one of your sessions, and I think I'd already told you this before. It is always amazing sharing a platform with you. And for those who joined us late, allow me to just break down for you what we covered. And I say this as Mrs. Wahinya prepares herself to do the vote of thanks. So one, we went through who are you? How do you see you? What defines you? And how do people see you? And what characteristics define you? Through that, you were given two tools. This particular tool was one, determinant, external and internal, and of course, your shadow self. So I will throw the ball game a bit differently. Lucy said the good and the bad. For me, I divide it into three: the good, the bad, and the spicy. The good is what is good for you. The bad is essentially your shadow side. The spicy is those qualities that make you uniquely you and constantly set you apart. With that, allow me to hand it over to Mrs. Wahinya to do the vote of thanks, and then we'll come back to the business section. Thank you very much.
Okay, before we go into the vote of thanks, I just want to thank everybody for showing up today and for the questions, because the questions also help me to learn. You can see from Karen already spicy is something I am going to add to my to my narrative, Karen. Thank you so much for that. For those of you, Karen, can I share my screen for a minute there?
Sorry.
You're on
Yes,
mute.
yes, you may. You have host rights.
Okay. So this is who I am. And I know I have been introduced, and it was quite lengthy one, but this is basically who I am. And I just wanted to share with you what it is that I am doing, that availability for you if you want to take it a little bit further. I know Karen says that she does want to take it further with me. Starting Monday, I am doing a customer service training. Like introduced, I have got 30 years in hospitality. So this is me again showing how customer service, we can build wealth through customer service. So it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you know, the knowing, the understanding, and the leveraging of customer service can and will increase your sales. I've got my contacts there. You can take a photograph and I can send you the registration link. It starts on Monday and it goes through till Friday. Then I've got the Awakening Self, and this is coming as a result of my book that is coming up. And my chapter in that book is on awakening self. And I use the Wheel of Life, as you can see. I use Kamutu. You see, I'm using Kenyanese here. Ikigai, again, which is another tool that you can find on Google if you look it up. Communicate, and Kutabiri, talking about the future and knowing how to get ready today. What would you do differently today so that you can have that future manifest before your very eyes? So that is the Awakening Self. We've got 5 sessions, we've got 5 tools, and we've got 5 workbooks, and that is the end of September. And then we've got for the younger girls, I call it the lady in waiting, because this is where now I take you through your social skills, your core values, your self-esteem, your personal purpose, because this is where you have your first identity crisis. And therefore I give you these tools to be able to manage, to mitigate this section in your life so that you can gracefully transition into society. I do it on Saturday and Sundays, and I take a minimum of 5 girls, because this way I am able to reach to every one of you and engage on a deeper level. So each session comes with a pre-workbook. You do some work, it allows you to do some research, and then you come back and then we go through our session, and it is 8,500 shillings per teenager. And this is where you can find me. You can take a photograph of the screen. Feel very free to reach out to me. I am all about empowering and transforming and helping women get unstuck through unlocking their limiting beliefs. Thank you for allowing me to share my screen, Karen.
Oh, thank you very much, Karen. Thank you. I want to say a special thanks to the Almighty God this morning because of you, Karen. That is so insightful. Beautiful. I have really enjoyed. As Mrs. Wanga says, I have really enjoyed. And I'm feeling like, no. You see, the way we go to church and then you feel this message could have been heard by another person. I wish we are more than we are today, Karen. I don't know you and Kantai. How can we make your generation understand this is a beautiful section which is giving you people and even us skill. One of these days, I can challenge this junior membership. You invite even the parents. We reason together with you. Because Lucy, today, this section was not only for junior members on board. It is for all of us. And that's why maybe Agnes is saying you should come back again. I have learned a lot. Uniquely you. What defines you? That is a very strong question. Whom do people say we are? And I think these are things even us, when we go to the interview, they did not come out very clearly. We wait for other people to define us and say who we are. And that's what Lucy is saying. Don't let people define you. Let us, first of all, we know who we are. And that is very strong. Thank you very much, Karen. I mean, Lucy, because of that wonderful section, well prepared. And as women on board, we are very grateful. And as Agnes communicates to you, please come and talk to all of us. And maybe another section where we can say we want our our juniors together with our mentors and the parents, so that we understand even the mistake we make. Today, there is so much in the society which is happening with our youth because of the media, the social media and that. So there are many things like the question you asked about depression, stress, and that. So we can bring these things so that when you know yourself, you stand firm and you not be shaken. Just to add a bit and say, even our Almighty God, we are told in Psalms 139, God created all of us uniquely. So this uniqueness, we should really understand who we are, because it says we are knitted by God into our mother's womb. Before you are created, God knows you. So as you combined with that, Lucy, it is giving us a lot of insight to understand ourselves, and that's all what can give us the motivation to move on to the next level as our juniors and even us as we move on. So thank you very much. I would like to hear you again, and please become a member of Women on Board. You will never go wrong, and we are happy to have you this morning. Thank you, and thank you again. Asante sana. Thank you very much, Carlen. Hand over to you.
Thank you very much. So for that, allow me to move to our business section, because this wouldn't be complete if we do not give announcements. And of course, we give and make you anticipate on the upcoming events. So this particular season, we'll be having 5 particular set of events. The first one is the corporate governance virtual training, which will run from 6th to the 10th of September. If anyone is interested, I have Nasseria and Kantai on call who can give the charges. Please feel free to actually, I think, Kantai, you can give us your number so that in case anyone has an inquiry, they can feel free to reach out. Secondly, perfect. I've just seen Mrs. Mustakali. Okay, so let me just finish the announcement. So secondly, we have a Bodytalk Webinar series on the 14th October 2021, which is a similar setup as this one. And I would really request, beseech, all words that I would possibly put in that statement to attend some of these sessions. And even if you don't get to attend, they're always posted on YouTube. So feel free to go to the Women on Board Network YouTube page, watch all these videos. They have amazing snippets of wisdom from trailblazers within the diverse fields. And especially for us young people who are looking into diversifying and specializing in things, it would be good for us to learn from the best, and the best are located in this forum. And thirdly, we have the board profiling and personal positioning a session, which will run from the 25th to the 28th of October 2021. Next, we'll have the 8th Annual Conference 2021. I'm genuinely looking forward to this, which will run from the 24th to the 25th of November 2021. And lastly, and this is a call to action for all of us, we will have the Women on Board Network Inaugural Awards 2021, first of its kind on 26th November 2021. We will share information with you. Kantai will share information with us on the criteria. So if you know a lady or a gentleman, depending on the criteria, who you think would be a good person to nominate, please do. All this information is available. Kantai will share. So with that, allow me to hand it over to Ms. Musakali. Mrs. Musakali, please feel free. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karen. Lucy, awesome. Awesome. You know, I have been sitting here listening to you, and the nuggets of wisdom, my God. In fact, I did send a text message to Mrs. Wanga, and I said, we must get Lucy for the senior members as well. I have learned so much, Lucy. Thank you so much. That was awesome. And I can't wait for you to speak to the senior members of Women on Boards Network. I have always enjoyed the sessions with the junior members because you get to learn so much. You get to go back to your youth again. You get to experience what they're experiencing again. You get to walk in their shoes again. And that is what is so awesome. You have such fresh ideas. You have such great ideas. So we do appreciate you, our juniors, because we know you are our future. We see ourselves in you again, and you keep us going. And so please keep joining these sessions. You learn so much we learn so much from you, and I'm sure that you learn from us. And please keep putting all this, the lessons that you're getting from great speakers such as Lucy into action. Always develop an action plan from each of the sessions that you have. Take away, even if it's just one lesson from each of the lessons or each of the sessions we have, even if it's just one, and implement it. But don't just implement it. Make sure that you monitor the outcome of you implementing or you taking that specific action. Because if you don't do that, then you're wasting a lot of time listening to these great ladies, listening to the great gentlemen we bring to you, but then it doesn't positively impact your life. So please ensure you take at least one lesson, implement it, and measure yourself against what you have implemented. Karen, it is always a pleasure listening to you. You inspire me in many ways, Karen. And first and foremost, let me congratulate you for passing your exams at law school. And I told you you were going to pass, Karen. So great work there. Keep inspiring many young people along the way. Keep leading us along the way. We are your followers. Just as you're learning from us, we are also learning from you. Kantai, I can't thank you enough for taking the lead on the junior wing. Thank you for always looking out for great speakers for us. Please keep pulling us up. Please keep challenging us as now I'm a junior member. Please keep challenging us so that we grow with you. Mrs. Wanga, Pauline, and Hannah, and the rest of the board members who were able to join this morning. Thank you for everything. Thank you for putting up this session. And I do wish you a great weekend. Lucy, awesome, awesome. And I'm looking forward to the time when we put you up for the main wall. Thank you so, so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Msukali. I love calling her my mother, because since I joined this forum, she has constantly made it her purpose to hold my hand. And I'm okay. So Kantai, please tell me when you're ready. Help us take this particular photo. Mask, oh yeah, for the photo, mask off, yes. Nasirian? Please let us know whenever you're ready. I think Pinky is almost there. I can see she's looking for some lights. Yes, Pinky, we're waiting for you. Okay. Kantai? Kantai. If Kantai are tie, are we okay? I can see you unmuting and muting. I'd assume that's a signal. Let me check. Okay. I think that should be it. Thank you very much, ladies and gents, because I can see that we have a gent. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you. Yes, that Nasirian told us we're okay. So in case anyone has any clarification, feel free to seek clarification from us. Kantai has been gracious enough to provide information on how to contact her. And yeah, without ado, if any other person has no objection, I think we can adjourn this particular meeting and look forward to the next. Thank you so much for making time to come. And allow me to say bye. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for making time for this. Do enjoy your morning and afternoon. Thank you. Feel free to leave at your own pleasure. Bye, Choma. Bye, Anaya. Oh, hi, Pinky. And bye. Bye, everyone.